Hey everybody, welcome to the 15th episode of the Bull Watch or Wide Right Bull Watch podcast. And for for all intents and purposes, the season finale. As many of you know, all 82 bull slots have been filled, all the upsets have occurred. Let's just get to the obvious part with a couple of major announcements regarding the bowl games. And as you can see, we have from 82 eligible bowl teams, with the SEC and the ACC leading the pack, and the number of bowl ineligible teams being 52, which means every single bowl team, every single team that could have clinched, pretty much did. It- it, so let's get to the bowl games that have already been announced. All right, all right, and you're gonna see something come up on the screen in a moment. Ta-da! This is the Epic Pen. The off-screen friend you've had, or I've had for most of the season. So we already have 3 games that are being played, and I'll point them out. We got the Salute to Veterans Bowl. These are Eastern Standard Time, which means if you're living out in the Pacific Standard, hang on a second, let me just do this. Pacific Standard, you add 3 hours, or actually, um, you subtract 3 hours, and the further east you go, the obvious it gets. So, the Salute to Veterans Bowl is our first bowl game with Western Michigan facing off against South Alabama. And yeah, so we have our first bowl game. Then the Frisco Bowl will see West Virginia face off against Memphis. And who boy, I'm not going to make any picks, but what can you do? And then one of my personal favorite bowls, the Hawaii Bowl, we already have our matchup on Christmas Eve. In 20 days, San Jose State will be facing off against South Florida. So we got some pretty good bowl games. Now, if you're wondering why the 14th looks kind of weird, well, let's just say we got Army Navy. All right. But obviously, I got something else to talk about. It's championship weekend. We've got Western Kentucky facing off against Jacksonville State, UNLV and Boise State, and Tulane and Army, with Army playing for the championship. So, let's check it out. Western Kentucky has a 65% chance of winning. So this is roughly, hang on a second. I get this smaller. Oh, Jacksonville State has a roughly 65% chance of winning, which means, oh, actually, yeah. So it's So if we wanted to make it like more or less 100, 64 to 36. And yes, looks like some they got here. Looks like Jacksonville State is favored by a point and a half, so should be a good game. Next up, UNLV and Boise. See, Boise has a nice chance, obviously, to UNLV. So yeah, obviously. Boise State is a 4.5 point favorite right here. And Tulane and Army, with, surprisingly, Tulane being a 3.5 point favorite. And, wow, so 67. So it's 67 to 33. So that's not bad at all. We're not going to look at all the title games, but obviously we've got Iowa State and Arizona State. So Sun Devils versus Hawk versus a Cyclones, I believe. Yeah. Ohio and Miami of Ohio. And look at this. We got the least expensive and the most expensive. Because you got Georgia and Texas in a rematch where Georgia won big, but Texas has looked like the better team. Then you got Marshall and Louisiana playing for the Sun Belt Championship. And then two of the biggest games. You got Penn State and Oregon, and Clemson and SMU. Of course, if you know anything about the college football playoff, who released some of the stupidest rankings yesterday, as of recording this, if Clemson wins, guess what? More than likely, SMU is out, and CFP is going to put Alabama in because of name value. I mean, people in Tuscaloosa are rabid fans, aren't they? But unfortunately for Army, they are not getting an off week because obviously Army Navy is coming up, and it's going to be at Northwest Stadium. An, an Army will either be 10-1, or actually, they're not going to be 10-1. Okay, I fucked up on that. Army will not be 10-1. They'll either be 11-1 or 10-2. Navy though has two more games. This game and of course a bowl game. So where do I project Navy to go? More than likely something that has to do with the armed forces. So maybe the Armed Forces Bowl, Liberty Bowl, whatever. All right, but enough of that. We got, as I mentioned, three bowl games to talk about. We got the Salute to Veterans Bowl, which used to be called the Camellia Bowl, at the Crampton Bowl, which will see South Alabama face off against Western Michigan. Yep. So December 3rd. So yesterday we had Western Michigan facing the MAC, representing the MAC, South Alabama on the Sun Belt. This is a big game for both teams because obviously they come from mid-major conferences. Both teams come from these mid-majors that probably have little to no chance unless a miracle happens. But obviously, this will kick off at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. 8 p.m., which is 9 Eastern. Ugh, I drew a terrible T. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. So, yeah. So it's pretty much a day to relax, probably order some pizza, and kick off the bowl season. Then the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. Oh my goodness. This might be a bloodbath. You got West Virginia versus Memphis. But remember, this season has been really crazy. You know what I mean? I'm actually going to pull up the ESPN page. Silly me. I thought there would be some info, but I forgot we're about 2 weeks away. So Chad Scott is the interim. If we were to go by records, obviously, I would expect Memphis to just squash West Virginia. But remember, the Big 12 is a P4 conference. I hate saying P4 for with. Against the American Athletic. But, like I said, this season has been a wild card. And then let's get to the last game that's already been announced. Alright? I'm gonna come back after I'm gonna come back after championship weekend. Well, actually, I said this was a season finale. I'm gonna take that back and I'm gonna say next week will be the season finale, and then we'll discuss the bowls that I'm gonna watch. And this is one of them. Well, that's cool. The Hawaii Bowl. Oh, That actually looks wrong. Give me a moment. Much better. The Hawaii Bowl between South Florida and San Jose State. And a little bit of a fun fact: Ken Numa Lolo, I can't really pronounce his last name properly, was actually the coach for Navy for a long time. But yeah, anyways, enough of the Hawaii Bowl. Let's talk about some of the bowls I'm gonna look at, either because of a gimmick or not. So I like to watch all the bowl games because I don't discriminate, but I don't really watch this other than this game because of the fact that it's the first bowl game instead of the Bahamas Bowl. I'm gonna pick a few games that I would like to watch. I'm gonna be watching the famous Idaho Potato Bowl because, if anything, the field, maybe even the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So I'm gonna put a little green check mark, and I will. Oh yeah, that's cut off. But yeah, I'm gonna put a little check mark next to the ones I want to watch. So, mhm, the Myrtle Beach Bowl, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, the Hawaii Bowl. I'm just gonna go like. Actually, I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna go. Oh, yeah, yeah, a possible Holiday Bowl. So, yeah. Same for the Las Vegas Bowl. Yeah. The Fenway Bowl. Eh. Had to sneeze there. The Pinstripe Bowl. Eh. But yeah, for sure, I'm watching these three games because either the field or just tradition. True story. I used to watch the Hawaii Bowl. Okay. But yeah. Used to watch the Hawaii Bowl, but then, you know, unfortunately I couldn't. But yeah, other than I'm gonna put a block around it, okay? A nice big block around the bowl games I'm gonna watch. That's too big, obviously. I'm gonna go. Oh, I should just. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing this on the fly, but the. Oh, that's way too big, obviously, for my taste. All right, yeah, that's better. Yeah, okay. Yeah, up. Yeah. All right, so yep. So these are some of the bowl games I'm gonna watch. Obviously, the Hawaii Bowl, San Jose State, and South Florida. So I'm watching these three because of obvious reasons. And then for sure, I'm gonna watch the Sun Bowl because it's my favorite bowl. Of course, the Texas Bowl will also see. Um, the Texas Bowl is the last bowl game for the year on last game of the year that is not part of the expanded college football playoff. So, speaking of which, the Fiesta Bowl will be the Fiesta Bowl will be the final game, whereas the Peach Bowl and the Rose Bowl will be pretty much everything. And the college football playoff national championship will be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But yeah, I usually watch the Rose Bowl because, hey, I've been there. Yeah. So there. Like I said, I'll be back next week after championship weekend to kind of see how everything shakes out. All right? I'll I'll remind you of the bowls I'm gonna watch, and I'll see you all next week.